10 seconds.
To work.
I'd like to call tonight's Somersworth Planning Board meeting to order. Anna, please call the roll.
Ron LaHoulier.
Here.
Jason Barry.
Here.
Mark Richardson.
Here.
George Gilmet. Jeremy Rhodes. Bonnie McNair.
Here.
First item is approval of the minutes of the meeting of May 21, 2025. Anybody have a motion?
So moved.
Motion made by Mr. Barry, seconded by Mr. Rhodes. Any discussion? All those in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed? Abstain? Next item is committee reports. You have a summary of your land use board reports. Does anybody have any commentary on it? Moving on. City council report. We neither have Mr. Vincent nor Mr. Witham this evening. Director Mears, do you have anything?
Nothing this evening, Mr.
Thank
Chairman.
you.
Thank you.
Stratford Regional Planning Commission update. Mr. Richardson.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. I recently volunteered to become an alternate for the executive committee of the Regional Planning Commission. We actually need full members of the executive committee, but Michael Babinski represents Somersworth as on the executive committee, so I really feel that another community should be represented there, but I did volunteer to be an alternate. So that'll be coming up, and I'll have perhaps some reports on that as well. The SRPC is beginning the process of developing its 10-year master plan for the region. And we just started committee work on developing how to develop that plan. What kind of resources do we want involved, the stakeholders, how to get the information out to the public and that kind of thing. So in all likelihood, we'll be planning on a lot of public meetings or being accessible and available at local events with a table advertising the SRPC and what our work is and that kind of thing. So you'll probably see us around a lot more in the months to come. So that's just getting started. I'm looking forward to it.
Okay, thank you very much. At this point, I'd like to welcome Mr. Splain and also appoint him as a full voting member for the evening. 2030 committee, Mr. Barry.
No report, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Housing committee, Director Mears, do you have anything?
We have kicked off our meeting with Stratford Regional Planning Commission regarding Phase 3 of the regulatory audit. This is actually rewriting the regulations. Stratford Regional Planning Commission was meeting with the Mayor's Housing Task Force to go over the community engagement plan and the visual preference survey. So more to come on that.
Thank you very much. Item 3, old business. Is there any old business before the board this evening?
None this evening, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Next, we'll get into new business. At this time, I'd like to ask everybody to please turn off or mute your cell phones and electronic devices. If you care to speak this evening, come up to the microphone, state your name and address or your affiliation. If you have to stray from the podium, I believe we have a portable mic available for them. And please address the board at all times. First item on the new business, 4A. Minnie Spindler, on behalf of Press Cafe, is seeking site plan approval for a fast food restaurant and retail use on property located at 459 High Street in the residential commercial RC district, assesses map 40, lot 60, site number 02-2025. Director Mears, anything to add?
Yes, so the applicant is proposing to construct a 25,000 square foot shopping center consisting of retail space and restaurant with accessory use of an outdoor pickleball court, on-site parking, and site improvements. The applicant did come before the planning board for conceptual review back in March 2025. We still are waiting on third-party review for traffic and drainage reports. We did have a meeting with our third-party review regarding the traffic yesterday, and we should be getting that shortly. Staff recommends accepting this application as complete to begin the review process. The board shall not take final action until third-party review reports have been received. This timeline was discussed with the applicant at the SRTC meeting, knowing the applicant would be potentially continued to July 16th meeting. The applicant would like to start the review at this meeting to review design and overall impacts of the development. The board should discuss if they would like to have the traffic engineer, Bauman, to attend the next planning board meeting.
Thank you very much. Does anybody have a motion to accept the application? Motion made by Mr. Gomet. Seconded by Mr. Barry. Any discussion? All those in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed? Motion passes. Point of order, Mr. Barden has entered. Is there another regular that needs to be, position need to be filled in, or are those all full?
I think they're all full, because Bob.
Okay.
Yeah.
At this time, Mr. Barden, you'll be an alternate this evening, but you may ask questions but not vote. This time, I'd like to invite Press Cafe to make their presentation.
Great, thank you very much. Greg DeBona with Bowler Engineering, speaking on behalf of Press Cafe and our application tonight. I also have a team of professionals behind me, which may or may not get up tonight. Depends on how things roll, but we have our traffic engineer here, our architect here, our landscape architect here, as well as Miri from Press Cafe as well. So we're all in attendance and ready to handle any questions that may come up. But as Michelle had mentioned, we do understand that the third-party technical reviews have not been issued yet. So we appreciate just the opportunity to come start the process, present our application, but do intend on expecting to come back and continue this conversation in July if that is acceptable to the board. And then after I go through the PowerPoint I have here, which is not very long, roughly about 10 slides or so, just to give a big overview of the project. I did also want to just touch on, we did have 2 submission waivers or design waivers that we're requesting. Be nice to try to cover those today as well, just to understand if there's support of the waivers or not, because if there aren't, then we have to make some additional changes before we come back into July. So I'd like to just kind of cover those towards the end. But at first, I'll give you the overview of the whole project. So sorry, the projector is probably directly at you. If you want to slide to the side, give you the overview. And it was roughly about 2 months back where we did come for an informal just discussion to share the concept plan. This layout is actually very similar to where we started 2 months ago, but we have been in front of the SRTC twice and gotten 2 rounds of comments and feedback and made adjustments to the plans and to the drawings. Based on that feedback, and the plans that I'm going to have up on screen tonight reflect all those changes and the responses that we've provided. So again, we're here talking about Press Cafe. Currently, there's 9 locations in New Hampshire and Mass. Again, it's a family-style restaurant. They offer sit-down services, drive-through services, catering, takeout services. Really full-service menu, as well as, again, open 7 days a week, breakfast through dinner. So really a nice addition to the community. And this location that we're going to be talking about, it's actually a little bit more even unique than those other 9 in that this is an overall retail development as well. So it will be roughly a 25,000 square foot retail/restaurant shopping center, obviously anchored by Press Cafe as the primary restaurant tenant. Just a quick reminder of where we are, right? So we're at the 459 High Street location. It's shown up there, a couple images, just the idea of the street view of what's there now. Primarily, really an open lot, has roughly about a 5,000 square foot building on it, which over time has been used mostly as a residence, but also as a pet crematorium in the past too. So some commercial uses there as well as residential. And the property currently is owned by Miri and the folks at Press Cafe. So looking at the proposed site rendering, this layout is actually, again, very similar to where we were a couple months ago. We've just superimposed some color onto it so it's a little bit easier to follow when it's up on the screen. And this is basically the site plan that was presented as part of your package. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to generally walk around the site, pretty much starting up at the frontage along High Street, and describe what we're looking at, this layout, how the circulation works, and basically what we're proposing. So as you can see along High Street, there's 3 different curb cuts being proposed. On the far right corner, you have a right-in access drive. In the middle, you have what is going to be a full access drive, so you have movements that can come in as well as 2 exit drives. And then on the far left of the frontage, you have a right-out driveway. And what this is allowing us to do is it's basically creating a counterclockwise circulation around the back of the building to help facilitate loading, truck movements, but also the drive-through component. So Press Cafe is the larger, let's call it more of a tan color tenant that's on the far left side of that building. The building's kind of an upside down C at this point. But the Press Cafe tenant's the one on the lower left that you can see a patio space that is actually extends out from the restaurant out towards the frontage. And on the back side of their building, that's where the drive-through pickup window is located. So if people are entering, whether it's the centralized access point or coming in through the right entry only, you're basically working around the centralized front parking field and able to get into a counterclockwise drive-through queue to get around the building. We have the order board signs and the preview board signs back there, and then you'll be able to come to the window and pick up your food. Provides a very nice long queue stack. We can stack, I think it was roughly about 16 to 20 cars before even starting to come around to the edge of the building. So really a very long drive-through capability. And what you see in the dead center of the site is the main parking field. We have 153 parking spaces, which does comply with the requirements of the code. We also have 6 ADA accessible designated spaces and 6 EV charging spaces. And then as you're looking in the middle of the site, you probably see there's like this mix of gray, dark gray, green area. That's the new centralized plaza. So we have a large plaza space, roughly about 8,000 square feet, really just designated as open space for the use of the various tenants, and really to create kind of a little bit more unique shopping experience. So you have this ability of areas for sitting, synthetic lawn, landscape areas, all intermixed with a dual pickleball court that is enclosed within the patio space that connects to the Press Cafe. So really kind of a lot of kind of activity, more than what you would typically see in a traditional retail center. And obviously this was integral to the entire design. That's why the shape of the building laid out that way. And instead of just putting more and more retail space in there, we felt it was important to basically create this plaza space that is intended to be pretty loose as far as program, so that we can have outdoor shopping activities, we can have events, we can basically host activities that would benefit not only Press, but also the other tenants that would come into this space. As you get to the rear of the building, we do have a designated loading zone. That's just at-grade loading, so that's just a striped area for any larger service vehicles. We also have 4 different dumpster locations, 1 in the upper right, and then 3 in really the upper left. And again, these are just intended to be serviceable by the multiple tenants. We are primarily focusing on retail for the other tenant spaces, but none of those are spoken for at this time, and Could be some larger tenants, could be smaller tenants. We're just showing kind of an idea of where we think this could be broken up to once it basically gets taken to market. But obviously our primary focus right now is getting the press approved and the press to be able to move forward and be able to have the restaurant anchor this center and the rest of the other tenants fill in. As you go around the site in a counterclockwise direction, go through the drive-through, there are some parking spaces that are designated on the far left side of the site. And those spaces actually are intended as primarily post-drive-through pickup. In other words, sometimes people come to the drive-through and they don't order one or two things. They may order 10 things and it takes longer to prep. And what happens is instead of holding up the drive-through queue, those folks will go to the window, they'll pay, and then they'll be told to pull forward into one of those queue spaces that are up on the far right. And so we have plenty of extra spaces that are designated for that use so that we can keep the overall operation and the traffic flow going through the center and still be able to keep people off to the side. That's also why that drive aisle seems a little extra deep and extra wide, so that later on as people get their food, that are basically taken out by the runners of somebody who works in the restaurant and brings the food out to the car, they can easily back up and still exit, capitalizing on that new right out, exit drive, kind of keeps that flow moving around the shopping center. And just to clarify, the two blue items in the center, those are the pickleball courts, not to be confused. They're not pools. Just it's just the pattern of the bluish coloring of the pickleball court itself, surrounded by other sport texture that kind of makes up the whole court area. But those are not intended to be pools, just in case the blue threw anybody off. This is just the black and white of the site plan. What I'm just emphasizing here is this really is a layout that does not require relief from zoning. We meet the setback requirements, we meet all the use requirements, we meet the landscape buffer requirements. So we really kind of worked our way from the outer edge based on what the code allows and tried to work within those confines. So we're not asking for any sort of design relief from that standpoint, although we will talk about towards the end the lighting relief and the architectural design relief elements that we did file design waivers for. So again, just to clarify, the restaurant itself, the Press Cafe, makes up roughly about the 5,700 square feet of the space. There's also 1,200 square feet of patio that's designated for the outdoor eating of that. That leaves roughly a little over 19,000 square feet of mixed retail space for the rest of the building. And again, that plaza space is roughly about 8,000 square feet. Just high level on the utilities and drainage. What's nice about this site is that all of our needed utilities are available to us right in High Street. So we'll be able to make our new connection for sewer. We have new connections for water for both fire and domestic. Gas and electric are all available along High Street as well. So the utility connections, as far as retail goes, very straightforward on this project. Really nothing too challenging here. Is that me? Sorry about that. But then as far as addressing stormwater management, we do have 3 underground infiltration basins. These are basically open arch system, chamber systems that people are probably very familiar with, very common for commercial retail properties. So those gray shaded boxes that are located, one on the far right, one in the rear of the building, and one in the front, directly in front of the Press Cafe portion, those are the 3 infiltration systems. And those have been designed to meet all the stormwater regulations, both the state regulations as well as the local code requirements. And we are infiltrating the entire storm event for the 2, 10, and 50-year storms. And again, because we get so much recharge volume out of our infiltration design, we greatly exceed the requirements for groundwater recharge. So, but I'm expecting plenty of this to be covered by the third-party engineering tech review letters that hopefully you guys will be receiving and will be receiving shortly. We know they've been working on it for roughly a month, but we do expect to see those pretty soon. On the landscape side, we do have a plan that was provided that does show an extensive amount of landscaping around the frontage within the centralized landscape islands. Some more ornamental and decorative landscaping that's kind of incorporated into that plaza space, and then some perimeter landscaping. We are in the process of actually slightly refining this landscape plan, though. We did, through some conversations during the SRTC process, we talked a little bit more about whether or not we wanted to do irrigation here. We are not proposing to do irrigation. As such, some of our plants and some of the species quantities might change a little bit as we just make sure that we're moving forward with all drought-tolerant landscaping that's going to survive and look well and do well here without needing to implement an irrigation system into it. But for right now, as you see it, there's an extensive amount of trees, evergreens, shade trees, shrubs, grasses, that sort of thing, all throughout the center. We really think it's going to be a nice addition and help to kind of bring in this pedestrian connectivity that we also have along our frontage with the new bus stop and the sidewalk connection, really kind of bring people in to the center. Should be a nice look. And now we have our traffic engineer here. I'm going to have Scott come up and just give a quick overview of the traffic impact that analysis that we did. We do, per our study, we are recommending that basically a traffic signal be warranted at this location. We haven't seen what the third-party traffic consultant is going to say or recommend, so we expect to connect with them as soon as their letter has been issued and make sure that we're all aligned. So there is further, let's call it due diligence and studies that would have to be happening as that moves forward. But for now, Scott can give you a quick high level of just what the study tells us and then roughly where we think this is going to go as time moves on. Thanks, Scott.
Thanks, Greg. Good evening. Scott Thornton with Vanessa & Associates. As Greg mentioned, we prepared the traffic study for the project. And also, as Greg mentioned, I just want to give you a high-level overview of the study, recognizing that there'll be probably more detailed discussions with the peer review consultant and yourselves during the review of the project. So just a few bullet points. The study area is shown on the left of the screen. We looked at 5 intersections, 3 signalized locations, 2 unsignalized. We did our counts in March of this year, adjusted them up to a peak month condition for the traffic analysis and to an average month condition for the signal warrant analysis. That's all standard New Hampshire DOT practice. We looked at existing roadway conditions, pedestrian and bicycle volumes, vehicle speeds, sight distances. We checked in with the city to get an idea of any background projects that are proposed in the area that might adjust or might affect future condition for traffic volumes. We estimated the trip generation for the development using 2 sources. One, we have counts of an existing Pressed Cafe in Bedford. And then we used ITE trip generation manual data for the retail plaza. Most of the trips that we saw based on the traffic patterns would be coming from the south, but it's still pretty close to a 50-50 distribution. One thing we noticed in the analysis was that any of the unsignalized intersections have a lot of delay. They're challenged during these peak hour conditions, and not so much in the morning, more in the weekday evening and the Saturday midday time periods. We did the traffic signal warrant analysis where we look at volumes during an 8-hour period, a 4-hour period, and a peak hour period. And there's a number of other warrants as well, but those are the 3 volume conditions. The project is expected to meet the signal warrants for those 3 warrants right out of the gate. Based on that, we had prepared a conceptual improvement plan. Now we're oriented to about 90 degrees from the previous slide. And what we're proposing, this would be a fully actuated traffic signal, probably a 4-mast or post design. We would propose to modify the existing 2-way left turn lane in front of the site to split it out and have both northbound and southbound left turn lanes. We don't think the queues are going to be that bad for turning left, so those lanes only need to be about 100 to 150 feet in length. So this improves the operation, particularly for the site, from a level of service F to a level of service B. Also improves operations for the Goodwill store, the plaza at 460, from similar conditions, from an F to a B or a C. So we expect more on this to come later, and I'll be available for any questions if you have any. But I think I'll turn it. That's it for traffic. I'll turn it over to Greg. Thank you.
Thanks, Scott. It's really helpful. And now we have Quinn with us here from Bergmeyer, who worked on the building elevations, floor plan, and these perspective views as well. And he'll get up here and just kind of walk you through what we're seeing, what we expect to use for building materials and colors, and kind of the context of what we think this building is going to be. This does tie into one of that first submission waivers that we did ask for, which talks about basically the architectural context, the New England architectural design features. We don't necessarily believe that everything we're proposing here falls into that category, so that's why we've highlighted that we believe we need a waiver from that design standard. But we'll go through the plans first and kind of circle back to that after.
Thanks, Greg. Quinn Levine with Bergmeyer. I'm an architect out of Boston. So Press Cafe, their ethos revolves around healthy food and healthy lifestyle. So the impetus for the design for this center relies entirely on trying to take that ethos, understand it, and then apply it to the rest of the center. So we're taking a look at materials like wood, where we have a bunch of brick and masonry work here, along with some aluminum, along with some metal panels. The idea for the shape of the building and for the shape of the site as a whole is to really prioritize the front-facing facade, which is the facade facing High Street. We want to make sure that from High Street you can see how activated and exciting the site is. You have that large plaza that Greg mentioned earlier, coupled with the 2 pickleball courts and outdoor seating for the restaurant. We think that the scale that we're proposing for the front facades of the building, along with the pickleball court fencing, will really create an activated space, highly visible from High Street. The general shape of the facade does not feature any dormers as it sits right now. However, a lot of the materials that we're proposing are New England adjacent, all the masonry work, all the brickwork, and the wood highlights as well. What you're seeing here is the rear of the building. So even on the rear, we're trying to make sure that we're activating it appropriately for the drive-through customers. And so you're seeing that there is some variation of facade material from painted concrete to masonry stone, and the same thing goes for the side that is opposite to the pressed anchor tenant, which you can see. Oh, sorry, it went the wrong way. Which you can see on the north side of that plan. That's that dark brick and masonry combination. What we're really hoping to accomplish is that, the lifestyle center as a whole feels activated and feels exciting to be in, and we think that the architectural motif that we've chosen reflects the wellness strategy that Prest has, and we want to make sure that all the tenants, in addition to Prest, feel the same way. The elevations here, the front elevations, is not wholly dissimilar to other elevations that exist along High Street. We've taken those traditional materials and elevated them, and then at the people scale, you can see a significant amount of glazing for all of the storefronts. We tried to bring that feeling down to people scale, and really, again, activate the plaza as best as possible. You can see here, this is a view from one of the retail centers, from one of their entrances, looking out over the turf and paver plaza. You can take a look to the left side and see the pickleball courts. We're proposing a more natural look wood fence along the sides that are more public facing and face towards the parking, and then having a more open fencing system towards the plaza. We really want to encourage that interaction between those folks playing pickleball and those who are enjoying the plaza. We're also proposing quite a few shade trees along with various seating arrangements to make sure that the plaza stays active both with restaurant customers as well as those who come to enjoy the outdoor space. Thank you.
Thanks. Thank you, Quinn. That was great. Yeah, just to summarize, I think Quinn gave the rationale behind why the design waiver is being sought after in terms of the terminology of New England architectural design features. The one item in there that talks about siding, I think, was mainly our big element of, well, we don't really have siding anywhere on this building. So officially that was listed. It's in the letter that was provided by staff, but that would be a section 12.7.bi, which is the appearance standard. So we did submit for that requested design waiver. And then I didn't really talk about it earlier, but there is also a lighting waiver, which is 12.8.b under site lighting, where the requirement is no more than 0.2 foot candles really along the frontage of High Street. And in our case, where we have 3 different intersections, we have pedestrian connectivity and sidewalks along the entire frontage. We have a new proposed bus stop with sidewalk connectivity in. We were not looking to make that at pitch black at the property line along the frontage. We actually liked a little bit of light spillover from the parking lot to illuminate those pedestrian activities. So I think at the brightest point, we have one area along that frontage that is at 1.5 foot candles. The majority of it is only slightly above the allowance, around like 0.4 to 0.6 foot candles. So that's the design waiver that we're seeking for the lighting. Again, I don't think it's going to be anything that would be a visual deterrence, certainly not bright enough light levels that would impact any of the light spilling over onto High Street itself. But because of all that activity and people coming in and out from the center, I think it's a valid waiver to seek so that the site is properly lit for all that activity along the frontage. We were able to maintain 0 foot candles though around the rest of the 3 sides of the property. So it's only along the frontage that we exceeded that 0.2 foot candle limit. And that's really kind of the end of my direct presentation for the project. Again, we got a whole team here of people that can answer questions, but we do fully intend on continuing this discussion in July as well. So, thank you.
Okay, at this time, I'd like to open public hearing. Anybody care to speak on this matter? Director Mears, any correspondence concerning this item?
None this evening, Mr. Chairman?
Seeing none, close public hearing, go to questions on the board. Mr. Barry, then Mr. Richardson.
All right, I'll light this firecracker. All right, thank you for giving me the honor. Okay.
Excuse me, one point of order. Mr. Barton, I've been informed that you may be a full voting member for this evening.
All right.
Mr. Barry?
All right, let's roll. Welcome back, guys. Man, I'll tell you, it's I'm still really excited about your project. This thing is beautiful. The design all the way through and through. It is. You guys have really thought it through. Everything from the site design to the drainage to the landscape, how it's utilized with the neighboring properties. It's beautiful. Really like the renderings. I mean, just a couple of comments. I don't think I have any questions. If they come up, I'll ask them. Just working my way through the site, I still really like the design of the site. It's not something that we have here in the city, right? We don't really have anything that works in a holistic way. Things don't have synergy. We don't really see that in the plaza. We don't see that. We don't see that anywhere else in town. So this is something really unique to us, and to me personally, that's very exciting. As far as the curb cuts, starting first with the street, I really like that you've done 3 curb cuts. Very excited about having the one-way in and the one-way out. And certainly having the option in the center is very good. I'll come back to the street a little bit later. As far as the building, I really love the building itself. It's very warm. The materials are beautiful. I mean, it really represents something that I would like to see all over the place in the city. We have a couple of sites in town that hint at it and try to do it, but they don't do it quite like this. I feel like I'm somewhere else. I feel like I'm in Seattle or something. It's not a Somersworth vibe. It's very cool. Love it. I also really love the idea of the plaza. That's neat. That is completely unique. Dover has a small plaza, right, down in downtown, but it's neat how you're taking retail and you're bringing community together. It's really great. I'm excited to see what business go into this area. I think it'll be very successful. Going into utilities, I'm very happy about the infiltration design. I used to design those systems. They're hard to do, but I'm very glad you definitely put in a lot of units. No question there as far as the size of it. So I look forward to make sure that the third-party technical committee verifies that. Regarding the traffic light, okay, so I'm very pleased that the engineer mentioned that you guys are interested in putting in a traffic light. If you guys were by yourself in a bubble, I would say no. It probably wouldn't make sense. But when you look holistically, you go up to a 100,000-foot view and you look across the street. You look at the Goodwill, you look at the Omnium, and there's a lot of traffic. And I don't know if any of you guys have ever tried turning left out of there. It is scary, and it's even more scary when it's busy. So I'm thrilled that you guys are proposing to go in there and do that. I would love to see the neighboring properties try and contribute towards this. I know that can be quite expensive. I don't know if there's anything we can do to ask them for help, but if they can work with you to help make that whole intersection better, as a community, that's a safe thing. I'll endorse that traffic light all day, every day. Yeah, in general, my stance is unchanged. It's unchanged. I loved your project when you were here a few months back. Nothing has changed since then. This design represents everything that I want to see in a design. This should be the gold standard moving forward. All the other applicants that are out there that are creating properties and looking to develop, pay attention to this one. That's it. Thank you.
Mr. Richardson, then Mr. Rhodes?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I do have a couple. I'm not going to try to comment on what he said because, for the most part, it's all true. I think it's a wonderful project, and I think it's going to do well. But I do have some issues, and maybe you can educate me on the pickleball court. I don't know how fast the pickleball goes. I don't know how often it would sail over the fence into the parking lot or perhaps the people on the sidewalk. I don't know if that's a danger for children or anybody. I really don't. But I want to raise the issue because I'm not sure the fencing is high enough. And I know you want it to be visible. Sure. And that's a good thing. But maybe some netting or something like that on top of it that could prevent that from happening. You know, we all know the stories of the ball in the street and the kid chasing after it and all that, and that's what I don't want to see. Yep. So that's one concern I have. But if, you know, like I said, I don't know how hard a pickleball is. I don't know how fast it goes and whether it stings when it hits or any of that. But that's just a concern that I have. The other thing, I don't have an issue with the lighting on the street side, not at all. I think any amount of light you put on a sidewalk is a healthy thing for people who are out there, whether they're coming into or out of the facility or they're just walking by. I think anything like that is not a hindrance. It's, if anything, it's a good thing for them. Ever since we first heard this, it's been in the back of my mind what the impact of a light there is going to be on traffic. I understand getting in and out and the safety involved and all of that, but just it's a point in we spent the money to synchronize our lights and make traffic smoother, and this is just another obstacle. I don't see any way around it, but I think it's unfortunate. I know, I mean, from where I live to get on to the Spalding Turnpike, my wife will drive up Indigo Hill Road, and she'll cross and go on Blackwater Road to go up and around to avoid High Street. Me, I turn left at that intersection there, and this might make me go straight and come around because I'm concerned about the time, the extra time of the light and backup and all of that kind of thing. And I'm not sure we're prepared for that kind of a diversion of traffic into another route to get to the Spalding Turnpike. That's just my observation from driving that way all the time and watching my wife drive that way and the differences that we have. Frankly, I think she gets to the Spalding Turnpike quicker than I do going down High Street. So I don't think we can avoid it. It's got to be there to help people turn left for the most part. I mean, yeah, I don't know how we can get around it, but that's just my thought on it.
Mr. Rhodes?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So several comments that I'm going to make, several which will actually echo what Mr. Berry mentioned. One thing that I always think when we get a conceptual design that looks absolutely fantastic is how much is this going to get watered down when they come back? I'm really pleased to see it hasn't been. You're creating a third place here, which is something that is terribly lacking in modern America, particularly heavily built up areas of modern America. And the fact that you've chosen to maintain that plaza space and the pickleball courts rather than cram every square foot of retail you can into the site speaks very well of this project. And I think when you consider that, it makes a lot of the choices you're making fall together really well. Very, very glad to see that come in. I think your design for the drive-through is excellent. One thing that I always worry about with something like that coming in on a high traffic road like High Street is stacking up into the road. It happens with the Duncans occasionally down a little bit further. The design that you have in place, I don't see that occurring. And particularly when you consider those waiting spaces that you've incorporated into your build rather than making them ad hoc like a lot of designs do, I don't see that becoming an issue. The drainage that Mr. Berry mentioned is, I think, an excellent design. That was something I was concerned about, where you slope down from the back towards Willand Pond, which is a no-outlet water body that already has problems with cyanobacterial overgrowth. The fact that you're doing subterranean install here, and I'm fully expecting the third-party evaluation to come back confirming what you've stated, you considered that very, very well. Your landscape plan is excellent. When I saw that list of plantings, I had here we go, there's going to be a problematic species in here, not a single one. And I'm so glad to see that. Regarding the traffic concerns, I think unless we decide that everything on High Street that isn't already developed becomes undevelopable, an additional light, potentially more than one, when that corridor is fully built out, are inevitable. And the fact that you're coming here and saying, we see a need for one, here's our plan, as opposed to trying to fight that, is incredibly encouraging. I'm not a traffic engineer, but the plan that's been submitted on the logic of it makes perfect sense. Yes, it will cause additional traffic on the road, but I don't see the currently vacant BP station next to you staying vacant for too long once Prest opens up. Sure. So that argues even more strongly for a traffic light being placed in here It makes perfect sense. It's a necessity. The fact that you're seeing it too is again highly encouraging. In terms of the architectural design, we have that New England architecture requirement on the books. To not further beat a dead horse for the other members of the board, I'll say that virtually every project that we have seen come in on High Street, on 108, looks for a waiver in one form or another. Whatever New England architecture is, High Street and 108 are not it. What you're proposing here, if it's out of character with the surrounding buildings, is only that it looks significantly better. You've incorporated organic elements into what is clearly a commercial building. It fits with the theme of the business. It improves the quality of the structures in the neighborhood by just being better for it. I would have no problem granting that waiver whatsoever with the design that you've submitted. In addition, the lighting waiver you're talking about, I think we have that on the books primarily for properties where we have commercial use right next to residential. We've seen a number of cases like that. The Kia dealership opening up on 108 springs to mind. You don't have that concern here. You're talking about light spillover onto a very heavily trafficked roadway at a place where you've got pedestrian and vehicular cutovers. I don't see any concern with light there. The project as a whole looks absolutely fantastic. One concern that I'm going to bring up that is a little bit out of left field, you're butting up against a lot of woodland with the Willand Pond area. You're putting your dumpsters back there. You may want to consider those put in locking containers and bear-proof. Otherwise, you may end up with an unwanted visitor in the middle of the night. I don't know if there's bears out there. I'd be kind of surprised if there weren't one or two. So might want to think about that. Otherwise, I love what you're doing. Cannot wait to see you back next month.
Thank you, Ms. McNair.
I know, look at me talking. I actually have to get better at raising my hand because these gentlemen have really expressed most of what I would like to discuss. But that being said, I echo 100% of everything they said. This is such an exciting project, and both as a resident of this town, this is the most elevated thing we have coming in, and it is so exciting to see. As the chamber director, soup's excited. So I have 20-year-olds in my house. This is how I talk now. So I think everything has been so completely well thought out. I think having another third space, as Mr. Rhodes has said, is incredibly exciting. The lighting, absolutely. We have so much pedestrian traffic in that area. That lighting is completely well thought out. The waivers that you're asking for, again, for the New England field, what's the New England field on High Street? What is that? I could see it down here. You know, if it was down here, I'd maybe question it more, but still, I would want this. Even then, we have the one across the street that's a beautiful modern building, and you can absolutely, we see it in Dover, we see it in Portsmouth, incorporate a modern building in a historic area. So this is so beautiful and exciting, and the drive-through, everything was so well thought through, and I know I'm beating a dead horse with that. I do want to bring up the pickleball court as well. That is a concern I have. Again, I echo what Mr. Richardson said with the fencing. I love how you're doing it so that they can interact. The players can interact with the plaza population. I love that, but again, I just foresee as a mama, balls going like kids being crazy with balls or whatever it is. And that could be problematic. So maybe addressing that in some way that is visually appealing and still not go too far with it, but just to make sure we're keeping that in mind. Again, I am not familiar with pickleballs and fences, but I did see the fence and instantly thought, someone's getting hit with a ball. Maybe some netting, something. But otherwise, this is the most exciting thing to come into this town. And you have my unwavering support of it. What was the other thing? Oh, the Coast Bus stop. Have we gotten anywhere with that?
Yeah, we've gotten, actually, they love it.
Brad is happy with that?
Oh, yeah. Coast has been super supportive.
They're
They've been
fantastic.
communicating via email. They absolutely love the bus stop location, design, everything. They think it's great. So we just need to kind of take it to the next step of saying, okay, let's solidify this and document it and make it happen. But, you know, we also want to see what's the final end result of the traffic signal improvements and how does that all incorporate in. But we believe where we have it positioned, which is basically on the south side after you pass the intersection, the main traffic signal, with the little shoulder that we're providing, is the best location for it. There will be, it's noted in the review letter as well, we will have to grant an easement onto our property to allow for the sidewalk, but that's not a problem at all. We'll figure that part out. That's just all legal logistics.
Sure.
But right now, Coast is fully in support, and they love the bus stop.
That's wonderful. We love the bus stops. We love Coast. They do so much for us. And really, I love, the idea of having another traffic light. No, that does not excite me. That does not excite me. But as we grow High Street, that is an eventuality. And we may see traffic lights shifting. This does seem like an intuitive spot to put it, especially with Goodwill and Omnium and stuff over there, because that is an absolute nightmare to get out of if you're not going right. And with the dumpsters, yes, raccoons are a problem. So I would definitely consider making that critter-proof. I know back behind the beauty school where my daughter went, across the street from there, they were actively trying to catch one. Teenage girls will try to catch raccoons back there. I'm not going to lie. That's going to happen. So that's just another consideration. I fully echo it, but this is such an exciting project, and I am so happy to have you guys here. Thank you. That's all.
Thank you, Mr. Gilmet.
Well, as being a resident just off of High Street all my life, or pretty much all my life, the other set of lights does not bother me. I think that'll control the traffic issues down in that area quite a bit. And the lighting, I have no issues with. I think that's a safety issue in the first place. I think the electrical lighting on the sidewalk side would be perfect. The project itself, to me, is a go 100% as far as I'm concerned. You guys did outstanding on your work, and I'm highly in favor of what's going on.
Thank you. Any other questions of the board? Mr. Spillane?
So my only concern right now is that the sidewalk that connects the main High Street with the main plaza is kind of like 6 feet. I don't think it will be enough, considering that you guys are going to put a bus stop here, and also it's going to be a pickable here. People will try to just maybe wait there and look at the people while they're playing. So having only a 6-feet right around it, I think it's not going to be enough. And only here, when this sidewalk connects with the plaza, you have this kind of zigzag here and 2 parking spaces that, since you already hit the minimum parking requirements, I don't think that is suitable right there, and to take this turn to connect to the main plaza, since a lot of people from the parking spot will go to this way to connect to the main plaza. So that my only concern is just to have it a little bit wider, but other than that, I don't have any other concern for the project.
Mr. Richardson?
Yeah, I neglected to mention this my first go-through. With the EV chargers, one of the things that, and this bugs me whenever I go to Boston, but one of the things I see are people with EVs parked but not charging, and that they're just parking there. Is there any plan for that? Because I mean, as far as I'm concerned, if you have EV charging, the vehicle should be charging. And otherwise, they're just taking up another parking space and denying somebody a place to charge their vehicle.
Yeah.
I'm just curious about what you might have planned for that, or if you've even thought about that, because you go to Boston and you see it all the time.
Yeah. As far as I know, I don't believe there's any sort of regulatory control that we have over the use. It is kind of a little bit of a honor system, for lack of a better term, for those who do park. I thought you were going to say people show up in like big pickup trucks and park in the EV spots, because I've seen that too, and that's probably even worse than not charging in them. But usually when we see the EV charging spaces, what we typically see is that mostly benefits the actual employee base. A lot of the employees that will be there for a long duration that can park their cars and hopefully get to the site first and maybe take those spots over. That's really how we more think about it, versus somebody's going to stop in and grab a bite to eat for 15, 20 minutes. They're not necessarily pulling up to charge. So when I think about the EV charging spaces and even where we have them positioned around, it's more intended for the employee base than so much the customers. So I'm hopeful that, we get enough employees that have EV, cars and there's a benefit for them who work there to say, great, I can get a charge at work. And it's not so much the people that just come and want to go shopping and just use that space and say, well, I'm just going to use it, But it's a good point, and as EV has become more and more popular, and eventually it's only a matter of time before it starts to become mandated. Right now, it's still kind of a suggestive practice. It's not mandated. We're going to start seeing probably, to your point, maybe more ways of regulation or zoning or some way to monitor are people actually using them.
Any other questions from the board? Would you care to have a rebuttal to any
No,
things that were brought
I'm
forth this
honestly
evening?
flattered by all the comments. I really appreciate the feedback. I'm so honored that it's being so well received, quite frankly. So I do appreciate all the feedback, and the few suggestions we have heard, we'll continue to look at those and look to come back with any sort of alterations when we return.
Okay, Mr. Barton has a question?
Actually, a comment on the concerns raised about pickleball. Pickleballs are basically wiffle balls, and the risk of any injury posed by stray pickleballs from the court or damage to cars is effectively nil. I'm actually more of a tennis player than a pickleball player, and there is a tennis court fence design where the sides are about the same height as what's proposed for these pickleball courts, whereas the back fence is elevated. And even though you do get a few more stray balls that way, it is serviceable for certainly casual play, like in the park in South Berwick off of Sweetser Lane, has that design of tennis court. And looking at it, you'd think there would be a lot of stray balls because the side fencing is so low, but it actually isn't a huge issue, especially for casual play.
It does seem really hard to hit them very far, even when you really try, quite frankly. So when we looked at other designs, what we typically do see is that the fencing is a little bit higher on the side, where it might likely go higher. But when you're on the far end, those fences are pretty low, because for somebody to actually clear past the court and all the way to the end and still go over the fence, that's like a monster slam of a hit. And it really doesn't happen very frequently. And so, in other words, we would have originally started with a much lower and smaller fence here. We've purposely been beefing up this fence based on all the feedback we received at the SRTC meetings, and are proposing that really solid wood 6-foot high fence on all the areas that, which again is already pretty high. But we're going to continue to look at that and try to come back with some more justification as to why that is the optimum height for fence. I also should mention that a lot of times when you're seeing pickleball courts out there, very few of them are actually like regulation dimensions. This one is. I was joking before about the blue on my image, saying that's not a pool, and then you had like that nice red all around it. It's because we're providing those appropriate buffers that you need on the outside of the court before you get to the fence, where a lot of the ones you see today don't even have that. So that's why you see the fence so close and then maybe balls going over. We're providing the additional separation from the play court, and then we have the fence. So, yeah, I mean, look, we want this thing to be super successful, and we last thing we want is customers to be getting their ball, their windshield hit with a ball, and people try, like, that's not at all what we have intended for this purpose. So we're just as concerned about making sure that that's all been factored into.
Any other questions on the board? Ms. McNair?
Just a quick comment. Thank you for that information, Mr. Barton, on the pickleball court situation, the balls. I think that's great. Thank you for helping to clarify that for us. And that buffer does help. Like, I think I'm fully satisfied with that. If you can find a way to, I don't know. I feel like if something were to fly up, like, it might cause an accident. That's really more what I was kind of gearing towards. I doubt anyone's going to get hurt with one of those balls. They're harmless. harmless. But yeah, so that was kind of my real, like, where my thinking was when I mentioned it that way. But it sounds like you've really covered, I'm not surprised, really thought that through and covered those bases. So yeah, I mean, if there's a way to make it somehow safer, sure, go for it. But I'm really satisfied with that answer.
Mr. Rhodes?
Question more for the chair than the applicant. Would it make sense to clear out a few of the waiver requests and just vote on the full plan next
I
time?
was about to
Ask the same.
ask Director Mears, how much should we work on this evening?
I think you could work on regional impact in the waiver request.
Okay. Entertain a motion for regional impact. Mr. Rhodes?
I'll make a motion that the requests, go to the exact language here if I can find it. Apologies, it's in here someplace. Thank you. I'll make a motion that the site plan application of Mary Spindler on behalf of Press Cafe does not have potential for regional impact.
Motion made by Mr. Rhodes, seconded by Mr. Berry. Any discussion? All those in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed? Motion passes. Next, waiver request number 1. Does anybody have a motion? Mr. Rhodes?
I move that the request of Mary Spindler for a waiver from section 12.7.b.i of the, or 1 of the site plan review regulations, requirement that new construction be compatible with traditional New England architecture, be approved.
Motion made by Mr. Rhodes, second by Mr. Richardson. Any discussion? All those in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed? Waiver is granted. Waiver number 2.
I'll take that one too then.
Mr. Rhodes?
I move that the request of Mary Spindler for a waiver from section 12.8.b of the site plan review regulations to allow illumination levels of more than 0.2-foot candles along the High Street frontage be approved.
Motion made by Mr. Rhodes, seconded by Mr. Gilmet. Any discussion? Mr. Rhodes?
Just a quick question for the applicants on this. I know you mentioned there were possible revisions to the landscaping plan. Are you contemplating any revisions to the lighting plan site?
So the lighting plan, so the current plan that we have submitted does not have all the final detailing between the building and the site on the plaza area yet. We're still doing a lot of like decorative lighting for that area, and we know we're gonna have a little bit more lighting on the pickleball court itself, but nothing that should impact the perimeter light levels, which is what the waiver's geared towards.
If I could amend my motion then?
Yes.
That the final submitted light plan not exceed the current light plan in terms of peripheral lighting.
Motion amended by Mr. Rhodes. Mr. Gilmet, second. Any further discussion? All those in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed? Waiver is granted. Entertain a motion to continue the site plan to July 16. Ms. McNair. You can read on the site plan motion. I'll give you the,
Now I lost it, like I was right there. Oh, sorry. I'm new. I move that the request of Mary Spindler on behalf of Press Cafe for site plan approval for a fast food restaurant and retail use on a property located at 459 High Street be approved.
be continued.
Oh, be continued, sorry, to the meeting for July.
Motion made by Ms. McNair, seconded by Mr. Berry. Any discussion? Those in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed? Motion passes. The item is
The date certain
Why?
is July 16th.
July 16th. Thank you.
Well, thank you all again. Appreciate all the kind words and support. Look forward to being back here in July.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman?
Director Mears.
Yes, just have a question for the planning board. Would we like to have third-party review for traffic, our third-party engineer come to the next meeting for the board,
What are the wishes of the board?
for the traffic light
Third-party review for traffic light, next meeting?
Yes,
in attendance? Okay.
yes, that's perfect.
I will make a request for that. Thank you.
Item 4B, under new business, Bucephalus LLC, did I say that right?
Bucephalus.
Bucephalus? Okay. Bucephalus LLC is seeking site plan approval for 2 commercial buildings with associated parking infrastructure on a property located at 451 High Street in the residential commercial RC district and residential single-family R1 district, assessors map 42 lot 01, site number 04, 2024. Director Mears, anything to add?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. The applicant is proposing to construct 2 14,000 square foot contractor-style buildings behind the existing retail development. The site has an existing retail development that has a dance studio, retail store, grocery, and market. Zoning compliance, the lot is located in the residential commercial district and the residential single-family R1 district. The RC runs 500 feet into the lot, and the remaining portion of the lot is R1. Applicant received a variance on May 3rd, 2023 to allow for the following uses within the R1 portion of the lot: retail, wholesale, rental trades, commercial service, and repair facilities, excluding motor vehicle, trade and craft establishments, artisan production shop, artisan studio. The new development is located within the R1 portion of the lot. And staff believes that this application is complete and ready for review.
All right, entertain a motion to accept the application. Mr. Berry, seconded by Mr. Rhodes. Any discussion? All those in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed? Motion passes. Mr. Kedgeler?
Nope, I'm Steve Height.
All right, sorry.
Steve Height with Civil Works, representing the applicant. And yes, Chad and I do look alike. Sad but true. This is basically just an infill project. This project was approved many years ago with the back parking lot. This was at one point this was the bingo hall. Now it's been broken up into a bunch of different uses, and there was a tremendous amount of area out back behind the building. It was for parking as well. So what the applicant is proposing to do is to put 2 contractor unit buildings out behind the building in the existing paved and developed area that's there now, basically as an infill for what's is being underutilized as it is right now. So we've been to SRTC, and we've been through conversations with staff, a number of, as well as DPW, with everybody actually. And what we're proposing to do is tie into the existing water and sewer, bring new services to the building itself, bring new electric in, put fire hydrants out back as well, utilize the existing grading that's already there. There's already stormwater that's already been implemented. We do the actual stormwater reviews for this every year, and the good thing is everything we're proposing here is actually within the same stormwater containment areas that were already previously approved and operating on site. So as simple as I can tell you, it is just essentially an infill project in an area that's already been developed and utilizing it for a contractor storage type facility.
Very well. I'll open a public hearing. Anybody care to comment on this application? Any correspondence concerning this item, Director Mears?
None this evening, Mr. Chairman? Thank you.
Seeing none, close the public hearing. Turn to questions on the board. Mr. Rhodes?
One question, this may have been in your documentation, and if so, I missed it. Given that this is in the same sort of watershed area towards Willen Pond, wanted to make sure that there was not going to be any outside storage of bulk materials, chemicals, anything of that nature permitted on the site.
Not permitted.
Okay.
That was actually discussed as part of the ZBA as well, so those conditions move forward to the site as well, so no outside storage, yes.
Excellent, thank you. And also, I'm always curious about origins for LLCs. This one I know, and I love the reference, so whoever chose that, I appreciate it.
The fact that you can get it is kind of...
Don't see too many references to the classics anymore. Thank you.
Yeah.
Mr. Richardson?
Along those same lines, I don't think this is going to be a problem, but the tenants are going to be, maybe I'll ask you, can you explain who the tenants might be?
Most typically will be for a plumber, electrician, small business owner like that. There's still a tremendous need for that type of use, and that's what that the applicant is actually proposing here as well. He has had interest in that as well, so that's the intent, and that's why there was a restriction associated with what was allowed for use for ZBA, to try to make sure it was going to be contained to that. As well as so for that's the intent. Since he owns the plaza and he also has other tenants there, part of this project is also adding more additional landscaping out front, accentuating that driveway entrance, reconstructing the sidewalk that's out front, and just making sure that sidewalk ties in with the project next door.
I guess the reason why I'm asking is because in this day and age, with so many tools being lithium-ion batteries, just to see them chucked, if there's nobody around, chucking them in the trash, and the potential for fires and that kind of thing. And that, in this day and age, that bothers me, because you're beginning to see it happen all over the place.
I have no answer, because I don't know if there's a regulatory way to do that, except for just, it's personal responsibility. That's it.
I'm just bringing it up as a potential issue, that's all. And, I'm going to vote for it and everything else, don't worry about that. But
I get that.
I think it's a concern that, particularly fire departments, but anybody has in this day and age with those batteries and how potentially dangerous they can be. So,
I concur.
yeah.
Mr. Berry?
All right. Okay, so I like the design. Honestly, at the end of the day, I mean, it's unused area, right? I've been back there. Wife loved to play bingo, right? So it's good use of really dead space. So I don't have a problem with the design. Is the one question? Are the catch basins already there?
Yes.
Okay, they're already existing. Everything's grading to them already.
Yeah, that's the beauty with this.
It's simple.
Everything that's out there is already there. The
Perfect.
infrastructure is already in place.
And I mean, you're adding a little bit of pavement, right? Because about half of what you're proposing is gravel, correct?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
We're actually, so, good question. From a stormwater standpoint, gravel is considered impervious, so we still develop it the same way. So in this case, with stormwater, we still have, if it's paved, it's still doing the same thing. In this case, it is being collected in deep sump catch basins before it gets distributed out to this detention pond. So that's the beauty behind this. Like I said, you can't get a better infill project than this one, where you have underutilized developed space, which is kind of cool.
Perfect. I'm glad you said that. I would have said the same exact thing.
Yeah.
So I guess there's only one thing that I just want to just put on the record. Just because these proposed buildings are going to be used by contractors, right? So they're going to have chemicals, they're going to have probably oils and all sorts of solvents and all sorts of nasty things, maybe paints if they're a painter, I don't know. I just want to make sure that if there are spills, that the foundation be poured so that it doesn't drain out into the parking lot. I don't know if that's even possible to do, but just as sort of a retention somehow.
Yeah, that's up to the architect. I'm not going to get into that.
Yeah,
I don't know
just
enough
food for
about it,
thought.
but-
I'm not going to make that a condition of approval, by the way.
Yeah.
I just want to make that crystal clear, just food for thought.
But to that end, the fire department, we did have that conversation with the fire department. So as part of the building permit process, they actually will be looking at that, and they have to identify what they're actually utilizing the space for.
Great, yeah.
Each one will get their own individual certificate of occupancy.
Perfect, yeah, because I guess I'd hate to see that get into your catch basins, and eventually, hopefully, it doesn't leach into your pond, because this is right on the Willen Pond is in the backyard again, right next door. Surprise. So yeah, just be cognizant of that. That's all. Beyond that, no, I'm happy with the project. I'm going to support it. So
Thank you. Yep.
yeah, look forward to voting. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Gilmet?
Just one thing I have, they're building a beautiful project next door.
We're not going to be able to compete.
No, you're doing a construction type setup,
Yeah.
a nice fence between the properties may, help things a little bit to keep things from looking, terrible down the road. I don't know if you already have that plan or what have you.
No, you don't need it, because right now you have an extremely dense vegetative buffer already existing on that side.
Okay, no.
And we're not touching it. Yeah, we're not
No,
changing
I just
anything there now.
thought, I just don't want to make something look,
Oh, no. I mean, if you're able to see these two buildings through that, I'd be surprised.
I didn't know how much they were, how close you were
Oh,
clearing.
no, we're well over, I don't know, it's already existing, the vegetative buffer,
Nope.
20.
I have no problem with the project, it's just,
Good question, though, but we had talked about it. And actually, part of staff's comment was, can you see this from High Street? And the answer is no. Yeah, so.
Any other questions on the board? Mr. Spillane,
In terms of height, is
can you
this
put
like,
your microphone in front of you?
in terms of height, is this higher than the actual building that exists on the lot?
No, the existing these will be right around 25 feet high, which is about the same height that you have right there. You will not see these from High Street. I mean, I think we're looking for an inside height of somewhere about maybe to 18 to 20 feet. So with the crest, you're at most 25 feet.
Any other questions on the board? Seeing none, entertain a motion for regional impact. Mr. Richardson,
Sure. I move that the site plan application of, how do you say the name again?
Bucephalus?
Bucephalus, okay, LLC, does not have any potential for regional impact.
Motion made by Mr. Richardson, seconded by Mr. Barry. Any discussion? Those in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed? Motion passes. This time, I'd like to invite Director Mears to review the conditions of approval.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. One, plan revisions, please remove the bike rack located closest to the new buildings, as it has been indicated that this bike rack would be relocated to the end of the sidewalk by the retail uses. Please revise the sidewalk detail to 3 inches pavement for sidewalks. Conditions that must be met prior to final approval. The final plan shall bear the stamp and signature of an engineer, licensed land surveyor, and landscape architect. All federal and state permits shall be in place. Conditions to be completed prior to the start of site work. The development will require new addresses and a private street name. Please submit a request for a new address and 3 proposed street names to the city engineer. A hearing before the E911 committee and the city council is required for the acceptance of the street name. This must occur prior to the issuance of building permits. Construction cost estimate for this project shall be submitted to the Department of Development Services. An escrow account in the amount set by the city's contract engineer and agreeable to the Department of Development Services will be established for site construction inspections prior to any site work. A performance surety in the amount agreeable to the Department of Development Services, but no less than 25% of the cost of site construction determined by the engineer's estimate of construction value, will be established for on-site erosion control and site restoration prior to any site work and off-site improvements. If all work is completed as proposed, this account will be refunded. Landscape survival surety, 10% of the total cost of landscaping or a minimum of $500, whichever is greater, shall be held for a period of 2 growing seasons. The applicant shall apply for a new water and sewer connection permit and pay standard water and sewer connection fees assessed on new properties connecting on the water and sewer system. Water fees will be based on the size of the water meter needed, and the sewer connection fees will be based on the estimate of water used and equivalent number of bedrooms. A pre-construction meeting is required prior to the start of site work. Erosion control shall be installed properly. Erosion control shall be properly maintained throughout construction. Any breaks should be repaired within 48 hours. The applicant shall obtain applicable permits through the Department of Public Works. This shall include, but not limited to, driveway permit, utility pole license, and trench permits. Conditions applicable during and after construction. Building plans shall bear the stamp of a certified fire protection engineer licensed in New Hampshire to certify compliance with all egress, emergency lighting, smoke, heat, and CO detection systems, fire alarm monitoring, reporting systems, fire suppression systems, or any other fire protection or related safety systems required by national or New Hampshire code. A copy of the completed stormwater inspection and maintenance log shall be provided to the Department of Development Services annually on or before July 1st. This is an ongoing requirement. All landscaping shown on the plan shall be maintained, and any dead or dying vegetation shall be replaced in a timely manner as long as the site plan remains valid. All outdoor lighting, including security lights, shall be downlit and shielded so no direct light is visible from adjacent properties. There shall be no parking or storage located on unpaved areas. Hazardous materials storage within units. Within the unit, there shall be no storage of any hazardous material other than what is necessary to conduct business within the unit, and only if stored and utilized in compliance with state and New Hampshire laws and local regulations. Due to the location of the property being within the Willand Pond watershed, New Hampshire DES Green Snow program compliance is required for snow maintenance and removal, and as-built plans are required.
Thank you. Any comments by the board on the conditions of approval? And entertain a site plan motion. Mr. Rhodes.
I move that the request of Bucephalus LLC for site plan approval for 2 commercial buildings with associated parking infrastructure on a property located at 451 High Street be approved with the conditions as laid out by the planning director.
Motion made by Mr. Rhodes, seconded by Ms. McNair. Any discussion? Those in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed?
Thank you very much.
Motion passes. Thank you. New business item 4C, 15 Blackwater Road LLC is seeking a 90-day extension of the approved lot line adjustment subdivision and site plan applications associated with the redevelopment of the former National Guard site to address conditions prior to final approval for properties located at 15 and 17 Blackwater Road in the recreational with the Maple Street Recreation Overlay District, REC District, assesses map 22, lot 09 and 50, sub-number 01-2025, assesses map 22 and lot 10 and lot 50, sub-number 06-2024, and assesses map 22, lot 10, site number 12-2024. Director Mears.
Yes, so the applicant is requesting a 90-day extension to finalize the New Hampshire DES alteration of terrain permit and finalize the deed language for the transfer of the land. This would allow the applicant until September 18, 2025 to meet conditions of prior to final approval. The AOT permit has been submitted to New Hampshire DES and is under review. Applicant has received initial response from New Hampshire DES with a request for more information.
Okay, at this time, are there any questions from the board? Mr. Rhodes.
Only question I have is if, in staff opinion, 90 days allows enough time for this to be completed. Don't necessarily want to see it back again.
Yes, we asked the applicant that, and they said yes.
Okay.
Any other questions on the board?
We'll see.
Does anybody have an extension motion? Mr. Richardson.
I move that the request of 15 Blackwater Road LLC for a 90-day extension of the approved lot line adjustments, subdivision, and site plan applications. Oh, yes, thank you. I'll start again. I move that the request of 15 Blackwater Road LLC for a 90-day extension of approval of lot line adjustments, subdivision, and site plan applications associated with redevelopment of the former National Guard site to address conditions prior to final approval for sub number 01-2025, sub number 06-2024, and site number 12-2024 be approved.
Motion made by Mr. Richardson, seconded by Mr. Gilmet. Any discussion? All those in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed? The extension is approved. Item D on the new business. Any new business that may come before the board? Director Mears.
None this evening, Mr. Chairman?
Any workshop business?
Yes, a few items. Planning staff has been working with all the departments to update the site plan regulations. We do have a draft, and we're hoping to share that at the next meeting, depending on how many applications are going to be in front of us. So if there's too many, we'll continue it until August, but we do have a draft. And then we are working with Stratford Regional Planning Commission, kicking off the vision and the transportation master plan chapter updates. So the community engagement part of that will not be happening until early September, so the planning board can have a little bit of a break for the summer. So thank you.
Mr. Richardson, did you have a comment?
Yes, and on a different subject. I want to bring this up to be more helpful than critical, but I think driving past the Jeep dealer, when they came in, their HVA systems, when they received them, were too large and they were sticking up, and they were supposed to do something to hide them, paint them, or do whatever. You drive down there now and the sun glares off and you can see them all the time. So I'm just wondering if there's something you could do to talk to them about how they can disappear.
Okay.
Yep.
What, they're supposed to paint them some sort of
Yeah.
green?
Green. Yeah. And they sent a picture, but we'll
Okay.
see. Look back into
So I
it.
guess it needs a follow-up?
Yeah,
Yeah.
follow up.
Okay. Next, we'll get into communications and miscellaneous. Does anybody have anything?
I have just one
Minutes.
item. City Manager Belmore was unable to attend tonight. This was his last planning board meeting. He had a medical issue, but he wanted to thank everybody. He's enjoyed being on the planning board, and I'm going to miss him being on the planning board. I think he's been on it since he's been the city manager, and he could appoint somebody else to be on it, but that just shows his dedication to the city, that he's attended all these planning board meetings over the years. So I've appreciated his mentorship.
We appreciate his service. It's been very, very good to work with. Any other communications and miscellaneous? Entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
So moved by Mr. Berry, seconded by Mr. Gilmet. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed? Thank you very much.